Today's video is a continuation of my last video, Emptiness Void. If you haven't checked that video out, be sure to watch that first and then come to this one. Today we are discussing this void or emptiness that everybody faces, whether they are aware of it or not. This void can feel like a dark black hole within, and as I discussed in my last video, our world is set up in a way where we are moved towards instant gratification, trying to fill this void, but nothing on the outside will ever fill this void. It's about going within and not resisting the void any longer, which many people do most of their lives. Avoid the void. My name is Tess and I'm with Uncharted Depths. I help my clients break through and move through the illusions that keep them stuck and small so they can heal and step into their empowerment. I'm someone who's been on a healing journey and on the path of truth realization for many years, being driven by trying to understand the truth of why we are here. I have made this my number one passion and priority, which I never had a choice in the first place. It's just the way my life has unfolded, and I continue on that journey and share my learnings with you. It's important that I say I'm never here to make my perspective your perspective. You can take what you want and leave the rest. Truth realization to me is looking at who we are, and by doing that, I look at who we are not, so we can understand the false aspects within that we have developed to cope in this world. And so today with that, we are looking at this emptiness within that none of us can run away from. We can try to run away from it most of our lives, but this will just cause more suffering within. I'm going to give you a few tips today on how you can look at this space and understand this space within so you can start to become friends with this space. I did this years ago and I no longer feel this deep void within. It's an emptiness that is there, but I have become friends with it and it's actually turned into a very beautiful space. Within my truth, as far as I have gotten to my truth, I have an understanding of this space within and I see it as the most real thing within me. I don't see my personality as real. I see that as an adaptation from survival to be in this world and a part of the human experience. But I believe we are so much more than just this human experience. It's what we came here to experience. However, this space within this emptiness, this void, gives you access to understand who you are and who you are not. I'm going to give you a warning that the tips I'm going to give you today are on the more heavy side, but they are a part of life and they are important if you want to understand yourself and if you want to face this void within. This video is about getting really, really real with yourself. And sometimes when we're real, it's not sunshine and butterflies. It's looking at the shadow parts of life. So number one, facing your mortality, looking at death and your relationship with death. The one thing that is absolute in this world, an absolute within you, is that you are going to die. All of us are going to die. What is your relationship like with death? Have you looked at your own mortality? Now, this is people's number one fear, and people will do anything they can to avoid this fact. Oh, it's going to happen years down the road, so I don't have to look at it now. But when we actually face death and our fear of death, something transforms within us. This is why when people have near-death experiences, they have this huge transformation because they, in a way, have faced death. They were forced to face their own death. If you choose to go on this journey to look at your own death, that will come one day. The possibilities of seeing parts of yourself and dying to those parts of yourself that are false is such a high probability that it's one of the greatest ways you can heal. Death is a very natural part of life. Death and birth, They are very natural, but we tend to run away from our own death. But the truth is you go through little deaths all through your life, or even big deaths. When you go through something very extreme, let's say you get a divorce, or a relationship breaks up, or you get in a car accident, or you get sick, or you lose a loved one, these parts within you that you are attached to, they die. And so we go through these little deaths throughout our life, or big deaths throughout our life, that transform us and lead us closer to the truth of who we are. Anything that is real cannot be threatened. And anything that is false will reveal itself, especially if you have eyes willing to see. You can consciously go through these deaths within your life, or you can fight them and be unconscious within it. Death is not a bad thing. Death brings about change. Death brings about transformation. Death is such an important part of life. And when you can face your own physical death that will happen one day, you will be able to step into a place of truly living. Death is the reason that we can truly step into fully living. Death reminds us to live in the present moment. So imagine if you faced your own mortality and death, what that could bring to you. And would this void be as scary if you faced your own death? When you cultivate a relationship with death, you will understand life on a whole new level. If you can break through this fear of death, completely dissolve it, then there's really nothing to be scared of within life. You're breaking down so many fears by facing this fear of death, and therefore you can face this inner void within, because that is connected to it all. And then the second piece that you want to look at is wanting to be special in this world and looking at your insignificance. This void, we avoid it because it's nothing. There's this deep emptiness, this space that's within us. There's this insignificance, this nothing, and we're so scared of being nothing that we do many things in the world through our ego to make us believe that we are somebody, right? People go out and get degrees, and that degree becomes who they are. It's attached to their self-worth. It's attached to their self-identity. But within this space, there is no identity. We have so many parts of us that are false that we believe is who we are. But the closest space you will get to understanding truly who you are is this void within. And the best way to face that is to look at fears around insignificance, fears around being nobody, fears around being nothing. In reality, all the parts of you that you've built up through conditionings and through everything you've gone through in your life, having the human experience, they're actually false. They're just illusions that we create to make us feel like we are a part of something. It's the ego's job. It's what the ego does, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's what we came here to experience. I know when I faced my own insignificance beyond all the labels that are not me, it's not a fun place to look at. It feels yucky, and I'm not going to lie to you and say that this is a fun activity to do, but it's real. And if you really want to understand yourself and this void, then this is a beautiful practice to do. So by looking at your mortality and then your fear of insignificance, you will grow immensely, and you will also die immensely. You will die to all the false aspects within. These practices are some of the best practices that you can do to look and see through the illusions and break through the illusions of self. And after you've done this, it might take you a month. It might take you a year. It depends on the person. But after you've done this, I guarantee you will no longer be scared of this void, and this void will completely transform for you. But this is something that you have to stay with to fully understand. It's not looking at it for one day and then putting it aside. So I'm going to leave you with a quote from Buddha. There are only 2 mistakes a person can make on the road to truth. Not going all the way and never starting in the first place. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. My name is Tess. Thanks for watching.